From Nottingham High School was tragically killed in a motorcycle accident last month. What subject was he going to read? Simon prayed it wasn't chemistry, anthropology, or classics. Alan Brown flicked through a rotary index on his desk, enjoying the little cross-examination. History, he announced. Simon's heartbeat reached 120. I just missed a place at Magdalen College to read politics, philosophy, and economics, he said. Would you consider me for the vacancy? Ray Gould was born in a tiny room above his father's butcher's shop in Leeds, and for the first 9 years of his life, he shared that room with his ailing grandmother. He would listen enraptured as she told him stories of her hero husband, displayed in his khaki uniform in the fading sepia photograph at the side of her bed. Soon, however, his grandmother's stories filled Ray with sadness, as he became aware that she'd been a widow for nearly 30 years. Finally, she seemed a tragic figure, as he realized how little she'd experienced of the world beyond that cramped room. Shortly after his 11th birthday, Ray won the top scholarship to Roundhay School. Wearing horn-rimmed spectacles that didn't quite fit, he set off for his first day. Ray's mother hoped there were other boys as spotty as her son, and that his wavy red hair would not cause him to be continually teased. Only when it came to sport did Ray come bottom in anything. By the end of his first term, Ray was so far ahead of his classmates academically that the headmaster put him up a form. His single greatest achievement during the year, though, was to be the youngest winner of the prize essay competition in the school's history. The only reservation his form master admitted to, after reading Ray's account of his now-dead grandmother's life in the little room above the butcher's shop, was the choice of title. On the morning of speech day, the school hall was packed. After the headmaster had delivered his speech, he announced, I shall now call upon the winner of the prize essay competition to deliver his entry, Ray Gould. Ray marched confidently up onto the stage. He stared down at the 2,000 expectant faces, but showed no sign of apprehension. And when he'd completed the final paragraph of his essay, he received the first standing ovation of his career. 12-year-old Ray Gould left the stage to rejoin his parents. Tears were trickling down his mother's cheeks. Even when Ray was seated, the applause continued, so he lowered his head to stare at the title of his prize-winning essay. The first changes I will make when I become Prime Minister. Andrew Fraser attended his first political meeting in a pram, where his father, who had made his name as Scotland's finest scrum half since the Great War, delivered yet another speech to the citizens of Edinburgh Carlton in his efforts to capture a marginal seat on the City Council. At that time, few believed Duncan Fraser was more than a rugby hero, and consequently he failed to win the seat for the Conservatives until 3 years later. Hard work ensured that the marginal seat remained in the hands of Councillor Fraser for the next 9 years, and at the age of 13, Andrew, a stocky lad with straight black hair and an irrepressible grin, helped his father organise a 5th campaign. At the Edinburgh Academy, Andrew was chosen to captain the school debating society, and he took the team on to win the Scottish Schools Trophy. It was also widely accepted that Andrew was the most complete scrum half the Academy had produced since his father had captained the school side in 1919. At Edinburgh University, Andrew read politics, and by his 3rd year he'd been elected President of the Union and Captain of Rugby. When Duncan Fraser became Lord Provost of Edinburgh, he made a rare visit to London to receive a knighthood from the Queen. Andrew, along with his mother, attended the investiture at Buckingham Palace. Awarded an honours degree, Andrew remained at university to complete a thesis entitled The History of the Conservative Party in Scotland. And when Ainsley Munro, the Member of Parliament for Edinburgh Carlton, announced his retirement, the Edinburgh Evening News considered Andrew Fraser the obvious candidate if the Conservatives hoped to hold on to the marginal seat. Their headline read, Like father, like son. Think of it, Sir Duncan said to his son. Father and son representing the same constituency. A great day for the Edinburgh Conservative Party. Not to mention the Labour Party, said Andrew, looking his father in the eye. I'm not sure I take your meaning, said the Lord Provost. Precisely that, father. I hope to be selected as the Labour candidate. But you've been a Conservative all your life. No, father, replied Andrew quietly. It's you who have been a Conservative all my life. On Thursday, the 10th of December, 1964, Mr. Speaker rose and surveyed the Commons. He tugged at his long black silk gown, then tweaked his full-bottomed wig. He waited for the 500-odd members present to settle down before he intoned solemnly, "Members desiring to take the oath." The packed assembly switched its gaze to the far end of the chamber. There, standing at the bar of the Commons, was the victor of the first by-election since the Labour Party had taken office some 2 months before. The new Conservative member took 4 paces forward, stopped, and bowed. He looked, at 6'4", like a man born with the Tory party in mind, his patrician head set on an aristocratic frame, a mane of fair hair combed meticulously into place. Dressed in a dark grey double-breasted suit and wearing a guard's tie, he advanced towards the long table that stood in front of the Speaker's chair between the 2 front benches, which faced each other, a mere sword's length apart. He passed down the government side, stepping over the legs of the Prime Minister and Foreign Secretary, before being handed the oath by the Clerk of the House. He pronounced the words as firmly as if they had been his marriage vows. "I, Charles Seymour, do swear that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth, her heirs and successors, according to law, so help me God." "Hear, hear!" rose from his colleagues on the benches opposite, as the new MP leaned over to subscribe the test roll, a parchment folded into book shape. Charles was introduced to the Speaker by the clerk. The new member then proceeded towards the chair, where he stopped and bowed. "Welcome to the House, Mr. Seymour," said the Speaker, shaking his hand. "I hope you will serve this place for many years to come." "Thank you, Mr. Speaker," said Charles, and bowed a final time before continuing on behind the Speaker's chair. Waiting for him was the leader of the opposition, Sir Alec Douglas Hume. "Congratulations on your splendid victory, Charles. I know you have a great deal to offer our party, and indeed your country." "Thank you," replied the new MP, who then made his way up the steps of the side gangway to find a place in the back row of the long green benches. For the next 2 hours, Charles Seymour followed the proceedings of the House with a mixture of awe and excitement. Glancing up at the strangers' gallery, he saw his wife Fiona, his father, the 14th Earl of Bridgewater, and his brother, the Viscount Seymour, peering down at him with pride. When Charles left the chamber, he stood alone in the members' lobby for a moment. Another young member strode purposefully towards him. "Allow me to introduce myself," the stranger said. "I'm Andrew Fraser, the Labour member for Edinburgh Carlton, and I was hoping you hadn't yet found yourself a pair." The Tory chief whip had already explained that most members paired with someone from the opposite party, so that with less crucial debates both members could miss the vote and return to their family before midnight. "I'd be delighted to pair with you," said Charles, as a rotund figure wearing a pink-spotted bow tie trundled towards them. "Welcome to the club, Charles," said Alec Pimpkin. "Join me for a drink in the smoking room, and I'll brief you on how this bloody place works." "Thank you," said Charles, relieved to see someone he knew. As the 2 Tories retreated in the direction of the smoking room, Andrew left to attend a meeting of the Parliamentary Labour Party. He found an empty seat near the back of the large committee room and settled down to listen to the government chief whip go over the business for the following week. It consisted of nothing but 3-line whips, when pairing was not allowed. The Labour Party might have returned to power after 13 years, but with a majority of only 4 and a full legislative programme. As the chief whip sat down, the first person to jump to his feet was Tom Carson, the new member for Liverpool Dockside. He launched into a tirade of abuse against the government, complaining that they were looking more like Tories every day. "Enfant terrible," muttered the red-haired man sitting on Andrew's right. "Those aren't the words I'd